What's up, Crypto Legends? Today I have a special guest. He is Josh from Crypto World. I met him in Singapore. He also does daily technical analysis on his channel. Go and check him out, guys. I'll be leaving the link down below in the description. We're going to do an interview here to see what is his opinion, low time frame, higher time frame. Josh, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Andy. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. I mean, trading is doing good. Bit of mixed market sentiment right now. Are we going to go higher? Are we going to go lower? So it's always good to get someone else's opinion like yours. I'm just going to ask you, what is your higher time frame view here on Bitcoin for the next 1 to 2 years? And if you want to do some technical analysis, feel free to do so.
Okay. So yeah, I'll bring up some charts right now. I'll try to share my screen. Let's see if that comes through.
Yep.
Okay, so if you can see my screen right now, I've basically mapped out Bitcoin's entire price history on the weekly time frame, and you can see quite clearly there's clear halving cycles. So we have the first halving happening back in 2012, second halving 2016, third halving 2020, and the next halving coming up in about 7 months or so, happening in late April 2024. And we can clearly see there's cycles that form around these halvings, and the bear markets in the red zones here happen pretty much exactly in the middle of the halving cycles. And so simply based on Bitcoin's entire price history, we can see that the bear market for this cycle, this past cycle, is most likely over. The bottom for the bear market, most likely in. It will make basically, we'll need to see some sort of massive black swan to see a lower low below the bear market low, so below 15,500. For that low to get taken out, we'd have to see something major, like major. So it's, in my opinion, it's very unlikely we'll go lower than that level. But of course, we can still go lower than where Bitcoin is right now. So I think within the next 6-7 months leading up to the halving, we're kind of in that final accumulation zone in terms of the massive cycles here. So I've got these little green areas just before the halving that basically maps out roughly 7 months or so until the halvings. And we can see in pretty much all of these cycles, we see, the first one was mostly bullish, but all of the second and the third one, we saw a lot of bullish and bearish price action, especially this third one just before the C19 crash. Obviously, that was a black swan, but we saw a lot of bullish, bearish action, not much trends on the macro scale, but a lot of short-term bullish and bearish trends. So that was kind of the final area of accumulation, final area of opportunity before the the bull market really starts kicking off after the halving. And usually we see the bull markets really start heating up around 6 months or so after the halving. So we don't see the massive bull market on the day of the halving. But it really starts heating up kind of a few months after the halving. That's when the hype starts building. And especially, obviously, with this cycle, we've got Bitcoin ETFs, BlackRock, other things that could help push us higher. But within the next few months, obviously, we could see possibly better opportunities with perhaps lower prices. That can, of course, happen in the next few months. But so it's definitely exciting times for the next couple of years or so.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there, Josh. I mean, I'm taking a similar view here on the higher time frames, and there's so many things coming up into 2024, such as, the possible BlackRock, spot Bitcoin ETF with other institutions as well. The halving is such a crucial event. We can see the supply of Bitcoin going lower and lower on exchanges since the C19 crash. So this has been 3 years straight going in a downtrend on exchanges. So they got less supply. Supply is going to be cut in half. Spot Bitcoin ETF. It seems like all the planets are aligning for that perfect bull.
Yes.
Right? So the question is, what do you think of a possible black swan event, a possible recession? Because there's definitely some fear, in the US and, in worldwide, basically, on what could happen, entering into 2024. What would be your kind of massive bearish target if we were not to follow this, beautiful 4-year cycle with the halving, everything aligns up, what would you be, the kind of most bearish target for you personally for Bitcoin?
The most bearish, first of all, the bearish catalysts that could possibly happen are, of course, a recession. But I don't see that happening at least anytime within the next few months. It could happen next year or 2025, but the next few months right now, because GDP is still relatively
Good.
strong in
Yes.
terms of in the
Yeah.
positive numbers, at least.
Yeah.
We kind of saw an unofficial recession in 2022. Obviously, we had 2 negative quarters of GDP in the US. It just wasn't classed as an official recession.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had, I guess, a bit of a recession in that sense in
Yeah.
2022. But yeah, so recession could be a bearish catalyst. Anything crypto related as well. So, for example, if another massive exchange like an FTX situation goes down, that of course could send us a lot lower, or a major stable coin, something like that. If anything major collapses, obviously those are always bearish catalysts.
Yeah.
And so in those scenarios, yeah, we could definitely drop back below 20K in that, in the teen area. But below the 15K low, I just see that as something that would be very difficult. We'd need something very,
Unlikely.
very bearish to go below 15K, like maybe a recession combined with a major exchange collapsing, combined with something like, of course, it's possible. Nothing's impossible, but yeah. So I do see, potentially prices back down towards the lower 20,000s before the halving sometime. But any lower than like 20K back down towards, that 15K low, we're going to need some sort of major catalyst.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. I mean, there's a lot of buying interest, of Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin does go below $20,000 or $15,000, it's like there's going to be a lot of big players wanting to buy Bitcoin at those levels, very much knowing that it's likely going to break all-time high, right, in the next few years, right? We're not talking about 10 years. We're talking about in the next 1 to 2 years, that recovery is likely to happen. So there's going to be a lot of buying pressure, if the price were to drop down, below 20K, right? So I actually do agree with you on that scenario. So I mean, great to see the macro view, man. Everything lines up. The cycles do really, they have been playing out very, very nicely. So why wouldn't it play out, this time? Like you said, there would have to be a super massive recession with another big exchange such as Binance, right, collapsing to actually see a major drop. I think US dollar tether would be something, if suddenly US dollar tether would collapse suddenly, obviously that would bring a massive hit on Bitcoin and crypto in general,
for sure,
in my opinion. But usually these kind of events do signal a bottom, right? Such as the FTX collapse in November of 2022. That was actually the bottom. So we need to understand that if this does happen, it's going to bring us one of the best opportunities to buy up again, right? So
that's exactly right. And I have a couple other charts I'll quickly pull up. So this is the 4-day time frame, if you can see my screen right here. This is the super trend indicator. Basically, over the last few years, it's been relatively accurate in terms of the larger trends at play on the 4-day time frame. So for example, in the 2020 to 2021 bull market, this super trend indicator stayed in the green basically the entire time up until the May crash. And then it flipped back into the green second half 2021. And then it flipped into the red right at the end of 2021, stayed red for basically the entire bear market. And I mentioned on my channel back right at the beginning of this year, actually, that this is flipping back into the green. And so we're likely going to see a larger bullish trend play out for at least the next few months. And so far that has been playing out. And right now it's still sitting in the green, indicating that we are kind of in this larger bullish trend on the larger time frames, forming higher lows and higher highs. And basically the point of invalidation for this indicator would be a confirmed break below 25,000 approximately, because if we break below that low, obviously we're forming a new lower low for the first time since the end of last year. And also this would flip the indicator from green back to red if we break below 25,000. So that's definitely an important level to watch out for. And something else that I'm watching as well is the DXY. Obviously, it's been talked about quite a lot recently across many different channels. We have a major bullish trend in the DXY since around July. So that is more of a shorter term bearish indicator, I guess. But there is worth mentioning a possible bearish divergence here on the daily time frame. So we could come back down possibly to retest this previous line of resistance, which could now act as new support. So that's something to pay attention to. And we can see how the DXY actually acts against the price of Bitcoin. So this red line right here, this is the DXY on the daily time frame, and
Yeah.
this is the price of Bitcoin on the daily time frame in the candlesticks. And we can clearly see when the DXY is going down, Bitcoin's going up, and vice versa. So this is kind of the bearish indicator that I'm watching right now. If this continues going higher, then it could put some limitations on the price of Bitcoin in the short term. So we could possibly, retrace a little bit if this keeps pushing higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. I also talk about, the negative correlation that there is with the DXY. It's super important to take into consideration because, we can talk about cycles and lower time frame, scenarios, but, we need to pay attention on what the DXY is doing because the negative correlation is just like 1-to-1, right? It's just so accurate. Maybe not so close in the lower time frames, but overall, when you do see like the tops and bottoms, you can see once, the DXY bottoms and gets into rally, that's when the Bitcoin price tops and starts falling down, as you can see here from late July, where the DXY bottomed and started the rally, that's when Bitcoin started to drop. So, yeah, amazing. Thank you very much, Josh, for spending some time here on the channel, sharing your knowledge and seeing the macro view on what could potentially happen in the next coming months. Guys, you know the deal. Josh from Crypto World, I'll be leaving the link down below. He does daily technical analysis. Check him out. He does spot on work, as you can see. Josh, is there anything else you want to talk about for my community?
I'll just say, don't blow yourself up in the next few months. And financially speaking, stick it out for the next few months and we'll most likely be rewarded very well over the next 1 to 2 years. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Josh. I'll see you in the next one.
See you. Thank you.